we need to talk about why Haley Steinfeld is typecast as like, what's that about? It's starting to give the lives of graduate students. It is. I want this brand to stay in business for the rest of my life, which is why I'm telling you all about this right now. Once I was in, and now here I am in the army, and I've never been happier. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Neida, and this is my 2024 favorites. Today I want to talk about some of my favorite things from the year 2024. It was a year that I lived through. I certainly experienced that year, but there were some nice things that came out of it. So I'm going to be telling you about my favorite books, TV, movies, music, some of my favorite makeup throughout the year, and I'll put timestamps down below so you can skip to the part that's the most interesting to you. But if you stay for all of it, I'll love you even more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to start with books, because that's like my bread and butter. I love books. There's books right behind me. And I kind of had like a flop reading year. I'm not going to lie to you. There were moments at the beginning where it was like really good and I was reading a lot. And then like over the summer, I was doing a lot of thrillers. But then like right around when it was time for me to come to school, there just was not that much time to read for pleasure, really. I ended up reading, I think, like 25 books over the course of the year. My goal for the year was 40, which felt fairly attainable. But then, life happens, things happen, and it just didn't end up happening. But I did find a few books this year that I really enjoyed. We are going to start with Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is a book about a doctor, two doctors working at a hospital in Minneapolis, I think. And one of them has just been left by her husband for one of her best friends. She's up for this huge promotion at work, and her boss ends up telling her that he is delaying his choice for the promotion so that he can give a new doctor who's just transferred from a different hospital a chance. And she's like, what the is this? This is so sexist. I've had such a difficult year already. I was really banking on this and I hate him. So she decides that she's going to hate this doctor now. What she doesn't know is that he's secretly a golden retriever. They meet and she kind of ices him out. All the nurses ice him out and he's feeling really isolated. However, what they don't know is that he transferred to that hospital because his ex, who works at the other hospital that he used to work at, is now engaged to his brother. They end up doing like a fake dating thing because he needs somebody to date to like show his family that he doesn't care about the fact that his brother is getting married to his ex-girlfriend, and she's trying to find a way to thank him for the fact that he has offered to donate a kidney to her brother. I was not expecting to like this book as much as I did. I really got it. I didn't know what to expect from a rom-com, but I laughed and I cried. And the sex scenes, there were not many, but when they were there, they were there. Love this book. Cannot recommend it enough. The next book that was one of my favorites of the year is called Five Broken Blades by May Cortland. Five Broken Blades follows a group of assassins who are essentially hired to murder a king who cannot be killed. People say that it's like Six of Crows. Kind of. That one was more like a heist. This one is more like a murder for hire plot. Obviously, those are the two main differences. And I think Six of Crows has less like stratification along the like groups of people. Like everyone in that book is kind of really poor and destitute or like down and out. Whereas in this book, there are some characters who come from like a more elevated background. But they all end up on this mission together and they're traveling through this world that I think is supposed to be like an anagram for ancient Korea, and hijinks ensue. There's a sequel coming out that I don't exactly remember the name of. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it before, like, if you're going into it. I think it's best to go into it not having all of that information. But if you like killing the unkillable type of plot situation, and if you like found family novels, I think you'll really like this one. Third on my list, I have the Mask of Mirrors series. I've not finished the third book, but the first two, The Mask of Mirrors and The Liar's Knot, are like two of my favorite books that I read all year. Like maybe top two. They are so fucking good. It's about this girl named, again, I think there's like a theme. I love a heist. I love a like poor person tricking rich people. Like I don't know what it is, but It's about this girl named Ren and her like foster sister Tess. And they are going back to the city that they used to live in when they were younger. And Ren is pretending to be a noblewoman from a different town named Renata Varaudaux. So she's claiming that she's this long lost cousin of this family in town. What she thinks is going to happen is she's going to show up, be written into the family register, get access to all of the wealth and money that the family has, and start to live the life that her and Tess have always deserved. What ends up happening is that she goes through a series of trials and tribulations having to prove herself to the family because they're like very famously insular and like protect themselves against enemies. And they also are not as rich as she thought they were. Like they have fallen on hard times recently. So she ends up unraveling this like big conspiracy theory involving like committing mass against a group of people. And by the end of the first book, I was like, what the was that? That was so good. Then by the end of the second book, I was like, I need to read the third book. But I decided that I was going to wait for my friend Claire to read it. And she takes forever to read anything that's a buddy read. So who knows if I'll ever finish the series. I'll do it eventually. That is the Mask of Mirrors series. Cannot recommend it enough. And I'll leave links to all of this down below so you can go and read more comprehensive summaries than the ones that I'm giving. Last but not least of my favorite books of the year, I'm going to talk about a classic, The Count of Monte Cristo. The way this book worked my pussy out. Sometimes things are classics for a reason. I had never read anything by Alexandre Dumas. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a 47-hour audiobook. This is a long one, okay? But the way I was popcorn with every scene and every plot point, just eating it all the way up. That's the thing that I love about a classic. I love a classic where things happen, okay? Even if nothing is technically happening, things are happening in people's minds. It's the same thing with Pride and Prejudice. I've read Pride and Prejudice, I think, 3 times now because technically nothing's happening, but so much is happening. Do you understand what I'm saying to you right now? The Count of Monte Cristo isn't like that. There's literally a lot of things happening. If you've never heard of this book or you've never been exposed to this like classic piece of literature, it's about a young man named Edmond Dantes who, on the day of his wedding to the love of his life, his like childhood sweetheart, is arrested for allegedly being involved in a plot to help Napoleon escape from his isolation. He's isolated at this point in Elba. So he is arrested and thrown into, he's taken and thrown into the Chateau d'If, which is like built specifically to be difficult to escape. And it turns out, you find this out in the beginning, so it's not like a spoiler at all, but it turns out that he was set up by 3 different people in his life. Well, really, he was set up by 2 people, and there was a third person who knew. I don't know boat terms, but he worked on the boat with Edmund. Edmund was a sailor, and he was always jealous of Edmund. And then the second person was the guy who was like, I think he was like in the French military, and he was obsessed with Edmund's fiance. He wanted to marry her. Her name was Mercedes. And then the third person was like Edmund's kind of like friend, I think, from Marseille, which is where he's from. And he was drunk while they were like formulating the plan, but he didn't do anything to intervene. There might be spoilers now. Cover your ears. Well, okay, so while he's in the prison, Edmund ends up meeting this old priest. Abbe Faria says, if you can get out of this prison and go to the island of Monte Cristo, I have hundreds of like thousands of euros in 1800s money worth of treasure there. I was planning to use it for myself. I don't think I'm ever going to make it, but if you can do it, you can do it. Then ensues a plot to escape from the inescapable prison and see if he can get revenge on the people who put him in there in the first place. It's an amazing novel. It's an amazing novel that spans decades, centuries, French history. You go from Louis the 18th to Napoleon, back to Louis the 18th, to the fucking, there's just like so many things happening in the like historical milieu that it's set in, plus like the really strong character sketches, plus the like kind of folk tales that are being told throughout, like different folk tales being weaved throughout. There's like the story of Sinbad the Sailor that is being like weaved throughout, and like different pirate tales. And it's an epic novel that is absolutely excellent, that I think is worth every second of the 47-hour audiobook. If you can read it in French, I would highly recommend that you do. And yeah, that was my last favorite book of the year. Next up, we are going to talk about TV shows. So again, like, this has been a really weird year for me, and it's been a really weird year in terms of TV. Normally I'm watching a bunch of new TV every single year. I'm getting into all of it. This year, not as much. I have seen a few new TV shows, and I've seen a few like new seasons of TV shows that I already love. So we're going to talk about both of those. The first one on this list, I still haven't finished. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's Arcane. That show's good. I don't know anything about League of Legends. It's apparently based off of like 2 marquee characters from the League of Legends video game series. I don't know anything about that, okay? I know that the animation is excellent, that the character sketches are amazing, and that I'm scared with the tension that is being built through this show, okay? It feels very real and grounded in reality, even though it's a show about a world where magic is a known factor. It's almost like if it's not really close to the world that we live in now, but it is kind of close to the world that we live in now. The 2 main characters are a young girl named Violet and her sister, whose name at the beginning of the show is Powder, and then like over the course of the show she starts to be called Jinx. So Violet and Jinx are 2 orphans who are being raised by a man who owns a bar in like the like exile part of the world that they're living in, and they decide that they are going to steal from the rich part of the world that they're living in. They do a heist. Over the course of the heist, they lose like all of the stuff, but what ends up happening like sets into motion, well, not all of the stuff, some of the stuff they keep, and tragic circumstances ensue, but like what ends up happening sets into motion a complete like revolution of the society that they're living in, all because they decided to go steal some stuff one day. So it's kind of crazy. I know that's not like a very thorough explanation of the plot of the show. That's just because I think it's so worth the watch. There's only 2 seasons. Both seasons are out on Netflix right now. There's LGBT representation. There's people of all different races. There's like fucking animal people in it. Like it's a good show. The voice actor, we need to talk about why Haley Steinfeld is typecast as a lesbian. Like, what's that about? She's quite like as opposite from a lesbian as you can get. Like, she's marrying a football player. It's a similar thing to Taylor Swift though. Like, why do people think that Taylor Swift is gay? She's dating the most cishet man that has ever cisheaded, and yet I think he was getting his pickle tickled by Ryan Murphy, and that's how he got the role, allegedly. So that's Arcane. I've really been enjoying that. Hopefully we'll finish it soon. It's just like slow going because it's honestly kind of devastating as a television show. Like, it's honestly like so many sad things happen so quickly, and it's so stressful, but like it's also so good. Next up, we have The Sex Lives of College Girls. If you watched my last video where I'm talking about everything that I was wrong about in the year of 2024, I'm not going to harp too much on this, but I have been watching this season, and it's really fun. I'm not going to lie, okay? It's been 4 years since the first season started, and those years are showing on these girls' faces. Except who? Aaliyah. Because what? Black don't crack. Exactly. It's starting to give the sex lives of graduate students. It is. But I'm suspending my disbelief because I enjoy television. Okay? And I'm having a good time. Bella's love interest this season is this like nerdy, very nice Indian guy named Arvind, living for it, literally living for it. We were sitting in this living room squealing, watching them talk to each other and like have their first kiss. So it's so fun. Again, the season is not over, so it could get bad, and it could get bad fast, but I want to preserve the positive feelings that I'm having in this moment towards this show so that I can tell you to go watch it. And hopefully, like, if in the future the episodes are worse, you won't blame me for liking it now. Did that make any sense? Probably not, but we're gonna move on. Next up, we have Dash and Lily. This is the first time I've ever seen this show. I was honestly avoiding it. It came out, I think, in 2020. I was in a space mentally where I was like, I do not have any more energy for a Asian woman, white man love story. I don't have the time for it. So I would see it pop up. I didn't even know it was about Christmas. I would see it pop up every year and be like, I don't care. However, Claire rightfully grabbed me by my braids, swung me around, and said, you're gonna watch it, damn it. And the way that I was locked in from moment one, it's like a Christmas TV show about a girl who loves Christmas, having a really bad Christmas, and a guy who hates Christmas, who always has bad Christmases. And they start like talking to each other through a journal. Like, she leaves a journal in the Strand bookstore in New York City, and they start like writing to each other in this journal. They don't meet each other for a long time, and they're kind of like dating via that over the like week before Christmas. Do Do I enjoy the archetype of grumpy, artsy white boy who has a chip on his shoulder because he's got his heart broken once and now he's going to make the whole world burn because of it? No. But it's done very endearingly in this television show. Okay. It's done in a way that is enjoyable. Is Dash a Virgo? Probably. Can I look past that to enjoy the rest of the series? Yes, because Lily's freaking adorable. It's really a sweet show that like kind of genuinely like develops the secondary character subplot, but it is the perfect Christmas viewing. If you're looking for something to watch over the Christmas week, I would take it and watch it like a day at a time, because each day is like, each episode is a day. So like starts on December 17th, then the 18th, then the 24th, the 25th, stuff like that. So I would watch it like day by day that way, because I think that would be fun. But I highly recommend that if you want some holiday viewing. This was my year to really get into the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I struggle with watching most Real Housewives franchises, either because they're boring, like Beverly Hills and Orange County, or because they are full of colorist freaks like Potomac, or because they're not interesting the way that they used to be, like Atlanta. I was reticent to begin another Real Housewives series because I know how sharply they can decline, and I also know how like hard they can be to get into. But finally, something about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City got me. Maybe it's the Mormons, you know, maybe it was the fact that one of the main characters was arrested on camera. Actually, no, it was exactly that fact. One of the main cast members of the show was arrested by the federal government on camera in season 2 of this show. And it's horrible. Like, Bravo as an engine and Bravo as a machine is kind of evil, which we've always known, but was like thoroughly revealed over the course of 2024. Like the way that Ariana Madix was treated during season 11 of Vanderpump Rules, the way that they tried to give Tom Sandoval a redemption arc, even though he was unequivocally the villain of the situation. And not only that, was like not remorseful at all, but like this TikToker I really like called Tell the Bees talks about how Vanderpump Rules functions on the engine of female shame and like choosing a female villain each season to shame. So they wanted it to be Ariana, and she was not playing along, and the audience was not playing along, and good. And then when James Kennedy's domestic violence arrest came out, like, Bravo is an evil company. That all being said, I still cannot stop watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I'm fascinated by and frightened by Mormonism. I don't know that I will ever be in Utah, because I don't think that that's a place for me. I don't believe that a religion that only decided that Black people were legal in the 1980s is for me. To watch the way that the drama on that show is engineered and like very much rooted in the fact that all of these people... We are back. My last filming was unfortunately interrupted by my storage filling up. So this is a few days later that I'm finishing this video, but I think last time I was talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It is just pure guilty pleasure television. These are horrible people. And I don't use that term lightly. I'm being 100% serious when I say that they're horrible people. I actually just filmed this makeup that I have on right now in a Get Ready With Me, where I'm talking more in depth about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the Real Housewives franchise, and kind of like different archetypes that pop up. And then I ended up going into more depth about Jen Shah. So that video should be out like sometime after I post this favorites video. But the thing about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City in particular, like, every franchise has its villains, right? Every franchise has people on it who maybe morally are not the best. That being said, every franchise does not have people who are federally charged and plead guilty to defrauding elderly people out of their life savings as a way of enriching themselves. You know, every franchise does not have a Jen Shah. Every franchise does not have people who allegedly run cults that defraud people of their life savings. I'm not going to say who that is because she scares me. There's a certain level of depravity that is allowable on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City that feels a bridge too far on all of the other franchises. And like the things that you see on screen on that particular franchise are so unbelievable. Like they're getting ready to go on a trip and she gets arrested by the FBI. They have a man come and talk about his experience, and another one of the women's church and how he like alleges that she defrauded him of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And by the time the next season aired, it's a very weird Real Housewives franchise. That being said, like, the personalities on it go together very well, and they're explosive and they trigger each other in the perfect ways to make a Bravo show absolutely addictive. I have my problems with Bravo. I think Bravo is not good. It's not a net good in the world. That being said, can't stop watching it. We all have to have our guilty pleasures, you know. I'm not a person who believes. And my last favorite of last year is Borders. So this is a BBC TV show about, it's like, you know how British TV shows are, it's like 6 episodes, but it's about 5 black kids who are brought to this, they call it a public school in the UK. It's a private school. Like in the US, it would be called a private school. They're brought to this private school as like a PR move because the private school had gotten bad press for like some of the students in uniform a homeless man. So they bring them as scholarship students as a PR move to diversify the campus, and it's about their experiences at the schools. One of the guys is a Nigerian guy who's like an overachiever and is known for being intelligent, but he's kind of flopping at the school. One of them is a nerdy gay guy who draws, and his name is Omar. The Nigerian guy's Femi. Then there's Omar. There's Toby, who's really horny and also a polyglot, very intelligent. He like teaches himself languages. There is, what's the girl's name? I can't remember her name right now, but she's like a typical social justice warrior. She's advocating for the school to take down a portrait of the founder of the school and his slave, Jaheim. The last guy is, not me forgetting the woman's name. That's a little embarrassing, but also she's not the best, which is fine because she's a flawed character. Jaheim is from, he was on a path to be doing illegal shit, but he's very intelligent and he is kind of like the centerpiece of the whole show. He does like coding and stuff. Oh yeah, and the girl is like a musician and she does art and music. The thing that I really enjoy about this show is how honest it is about being a black person in a white space like this, and also like the different permutations that exist. You have the person like Femi who tries to just chameleon themselves into whatever the white people around them want them to be, and like convinces themselves that they're really good friends with them, but they don't know that they're the one that is like disposable almost of the friend group, and then end up getting caught up in different situations. There was a guy that I remember from my high school who was kind of like that. And like, I don't know if this is a true story, but I heard that these kids had a party and then gotten caught and gotten in trouble. These white kids had a party, gotten in trouble, and then blamed him for bringing the drugs to the party when he had done no such thing. And he's like a very intelligent, high achiever, wealthy family himself. And they all just like foisted all the blame onto their black friend. And he was still friends with them by the end of high school, you know? So, I mean, that's a real experience that people have. Similarly, Leah, her name is Leah. That's the girl's name. Leah is trying really hard to find the only other black guy at the school for her to date. And she finds him and he's a piece of shit. Like, he's not a great person just because he is also black. Jaheim is dealing with the desirability politics of being an athletic young black man. A girl literally walks up to him the first day of school and says, "I've never seen a black before." And he still likes her. Like, they're still doing this on again, off again thing throughout the show. Like, he's actively being fetishized, playing into it, but still pursuing her. And once again, that's very real. The number of black men in the world who are actively fetishized by their white partners, very, very high. Omar, to me, is like the most level-headed one of them all. He's literally just there to go to school, graduate, get a job as an illustrator. He's doing it right. He's doing it the only way that makes sense. And then Toby is like horny and trying to get as much pum-pum, as he would say, as he possibly can. But he keeps like getting himself into these like harebrained schemes, basically. I really enjoy the show because of how honest of a portrayal it is, but also just because it's funny. I like a silly little funny little show about teenagers. It's a bit like if Emmerdale and Skins had a baby, and the Emmerdale influence makes the show a lot less explicit than Skins was. I enjoy it. I highly recommend it if you can find it and watch it. I think you should. Okay, so those are the TV shows that I really liked. The last 2 categories that I want to talk, or the next 3 categories that I want to talk about, are Oh, they all start with M's. Oh my God. Okay. So we have makeup, music, and movies. We're going to start with makeup because I love makeup. And I've had such a great year in terms of makeup. My number one makeup favorite for the year of 2024 has to be About Face Cosmetics. This is the brand that is owned by the singer Halsey, and you can find About Face in the drugstore section at Ulta, or it's also online at Ulta. They have their website where they frequently go on sale. And then in the UK, I've been having trouble finding it, honestly. So if you live in the UK and you also love About Face Cosmetics and you know where I can find it here, please let me know, because I had some of this stuff shipped to me from the United States, and I gotta tell you, it was not cheap. This is like one of the most underrated and best brands in the beauty industry today. The formulas are innovative. The packaging is adorable. The branding is so bright and fun and colorful and playful, but you can also get like a very neutral look with the products that they have as well. It's just like all around 10 out of 10. I started out with their matte fluid eye paints. So these are basically just like exactly what they say on the tin, matte fluid eye paints. It's like eye pigments that you put on and you can blend them out, and they blend out really easily. I have two colors. I have this bright cobalt blue, and then I have this like winey red color. This isn't even just like a 2024 favorite. It's like you could not get this off of my eyes in 2022. I was obsessed with this. These are in the colors No Queen Blues and Vintage Grenada, and I want to get the other blue that they have as well. I really love that one. Love these, love their blendability, love the color variety that they have, love the pigment payoff that they have. Then we have their lip liners. I really love the About Face lip liner formula. This is a sharpenable lip liner. I think it's like in plastic, not in wood is the one thing, but I love these. I have two brown shades. I have Grounded and Smoked. Love them. Can't go wrong with them. They're creamy, but they stay, which is exactly what you want in a lip liner. Most recently, I got the Blush Rush in the color Jumpstart. I'm wearing this blush today. It is the most beautiful, like cool toned pinky purple, and it blends so beautifully. I think the formula just like gives it this like nice healthy juiciness to the skin. Liquid blush, super easy to blend. But the thing that I love the most from the brand, the thing that I will shout from the rooftops about for the rest of this brand's existence, is the Performer Foundation, the skin focused foundation. And this is also like part of why I love the brand so much. There are not a lot of brands that have a full foundation range of neutral colors. Most people are neutral. Like the people are so obsessed with color analysis. They're so obsessed with like, if you look at the color wheel, like the color analysis color wheel, the true seasons, there's only 4 true seasons. And those are the only ones that are true cool and true warm. Summer, true winter are true cool. And then true spring and true autumn are true warm. Everyone else is neutral. Warm neutral, cool neutral, whatever. Everybody else is neutral. And About Face caters to that. This is the only foundation I have ever been able to find. I'm 27 years old. Granted, I have not purchased every foundation on the planet, but this is the first foundation that has ever actually matched me. My face is a little bit redder than my chest, which like most people's faces are a little bit redder than their chests, right? I'm a little paler now than I was when I initially bought this, so I don't know how much this is going to go with it, but do you see how the undertone of this foundation is the exact undertone of my chest? Like it is the exact same undertone of my chest. Granted, it's a little bit deep because I've been in Scotland for the past 5 months, basically getting absolutely no sun, but like I would like to get this in a shade lighter so that I can wear this in this country that gets absolutely no solar exposure. This is and you also see how much this like just looks like my skin. Like it has a healthy sheen to it that looks like my skin. It dries down beautifully. It wears beautifully throughout the day. It lasts forever. Like it will stay on your face. I want this brand to stay in business for the rest of my life, which is why I'm telling you all about this right now, because I can only hope that you will go out and purchase any one of the products that I mentioned or any of the other products that they have in their range. Granted, I cannot vouch for all of them. I've never tried the highlighters. I've never tried the like cream blushes that they have, but I've felt them before. They have like a nice cream to powder finish. It's an excellent brand. It's highly underrated. It's incredibly affordable. My next favorite is from like it's a brand that is like run by one of my favorite YouTubers. And I feel like not a lot of people in the United States talk about her brand, mostly because it's not super affordable for us, like because of the shipping fees, but it is really affordable for people in Australia and New Zealand. So if anybody watching this happens to be in Australia or New Zealand and you want to get some good quality makeup, I highly recommend XO Beauty by Sean XO. I bought these palettes. So she like came out with this terracotta collection, I think at the beginning of 2024, if I'm remembering correctly, but I bought these products in a bundle. They were like on sale or something. They were fairly affordable to me at the time. I love the color story of this. Now, I have mentioned on this channel before that I am a winter. I'm a bright winter. So I'm cool and I have like a lot of saturation in my skin. So the color story of this is not the best for me. That being said, I still love it and I'm still gonna do what I want. And the other thing, the main thing that I want to shout out about this is this shimmer, which is the perfect like wet look shimmer. Like wet look shimmers have been very trendy the past couple of years, and like this, if they ever came out with like single eyeshadows, they should sell this one. I think it's called Sand as a single, because it's so good and it looks so beautiful and reflective on the eyes. And then I love these two neutral browns. Like you can kind of see there's like a divot in the pan here. I always use this as a crease shade because, like I said, I'm neutral and it's a brown, so it's a good transition shade for me. And then I always use this one to deepen things up. So really love this palette. And then I also love, they came out with this 4-color water activated eyeliner palette. Mine is kind of gunky now because I use it all the time, but I love this brown. Very beautiful for a natural like winged liner. I love this green as like a nice pop. It's very bright. It's not like a cool toned green. Well, I think it is a cool toned green. I'm not entirely sure, but it's very bright. So that's why I think it looks harmonious with my skin, similarly to this blue. I haven't gotten into this orange as much because it doesn't really show up on me. I've tried to use it before and I don't really see like that much from it, but like I love the formula of these. They glide so nicely and the colors are excellent. Another favorite, the Glossier Stretch Concealer. They changed their concealer like coloring system, or the formula is amazing. This literally looks like your skin but better. I have this in the shade Medium Tan 2. This is lighter than my skin tone and it's a good brightening shade for me, but it's neutral, which is why it doesn't make me look like a ghost. This literally, like, this is basically what's under my eyes right now. I don't know if you can see, but I feel like my under eye area looks very smooth, but also like skin. Like I don't look sickly. Similarly, I put it in my T-zone, I put it down my nose, and I feel like I'm looking very smooth today. I would also attribute that smoothness to my final favorite. This is a newer addition to my collection, which is MAC Fix Plus. Now, I have had the e.l.f. setting spray, and if you guys want me to make like flops of 2024 video, I can do that. Let me know in the comments down below. But I have the e.l.f. setting spray. I bought this when I got here, and I hate this really bad. Like it makes my skin look wet. I like the spray on it. Like, not me moving out of the way because like I hate it that much, but I like the spray on it. The mist is very fine, which is nice, but it literally makes my face look so oily, which I don't like. The thing that I love about this is that my face looks like a face. Like it doesn't look like I have, well, I mean, it does look like I have makeup on because I do have makeup on, but it doesn't look like I'm caked, if that makes sense. And it also doesn't look like artificially dewy. Like I feel like this one makes me look artificially dewy, and it also doesn't work as like a good mixing medium for liners. And it also put it on under makeup before and it's just like made the makeup break up on top of it. I hate this actually. I need to not pull my punches. I've had a problem, and I don't know if you could tell in like past videos of mine, but I've always had a problem of like things settling into my smile lines because when I talk, I smile a lot. Using Fix Plus, like drenching my face in some Fix Plus and then fanning it, smooth. Next up, I want to talk about some of my favorite movies of the year. So I yonked on about Wicked in the last video that I made. I talked about like the things that I was wrong about in 2024. So you can go and watch that to see like my more of my thoughts about Wicked, but absolutely it was one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm one of the rare people in the world who was never exposed to Wicked as a youth. Seeing its take on the plot of The Wizard of Oz, the songs, I'm also like a musical theater nerd. Like I fucking love musicals, okay? So like the songs, the choreography, the costuming, I just was absolutely sucked in. I'm going to read the book at some point this year. I have had it from the library for a while, and I'm just like picking my way through it, but I'm going to read the book up to the point that it gets to like the ending of the first movie. So like whenever Elphaba leaves the Emerald City, and then I'm going to stop. And then I will recheck out the rest of the book and read the second half of the book when the second part of the movie comes out, because I don't want to know exactly how everything goes down. And I've managed to escape spoilers. I've managed to escape spoilers for the last 21 years of my life, so I think I can make it the next 10-ish months. My next favorite movie is kind of a sleeper hit because I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and it is Sweethearts. This is, I think, an HBO... What is it called now? I always remember it as HBO Go, but what is it called now? Oh no, it's not called HBO anything. It's called Max. This is a Max original movie starring Kiernan Shipka and Nico Hiraga, who is for me. He's for me. Oh, a beautiful man. That is a beautiful man. And they are two best friends from high school who are going to home for the winter break, and they are going to break up with their high school sweethearts. They like form a pact to break up with their high school sweethearts because they don't want to be shackled to those relationships back home. They want to be able to really explore themselves in college. And then they also have another friend played by Caleb Huron who is planning a huge party to come out in his small town in Ohio, and hijinks ensue with him. I feel like there's not enough good Thanksgiving movies. If you know some good Thanksgiving movies, leave them in the comments down below. But particularly because this is my first Thanksgiving not in the United States, so celebrating on my own, and I didn't celebrate because I can't be arsed to bake an entire turkey for myself. I wanted a good Thanksgiving movie, and it's a good Thanksgiving movie, and it's one of the rare rom-coms where like it's not even really a rom-com. Like the rom-com plot is not for the two main characters, but like it's a secondary plot almost, and it's kind of just like a cute little story about these friends and the evolution of their relationship. I love the subplot that happens with Caleb Huron's character. The secondary character gets a really strong subplot, and I also really enjoyed Nico and Kiernan's like chemistry with one another. I also like, if you haven't seen the movie, maybe skip forward like 20 seconds or something, but I liked that Kiernan and Nico didn't end up together. That doesn't really happen in a lot of these movies, and especially because they kept referencing When Harry Met Sally, I was like, what are we doing here? But no, they just let it be what it was, which makes me happy. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm going to be whipping this one out every Thanksgiving for a long time. And my final favorite movie of the year is my first ever Studio Ghibli movie. You might think I live under a rock, because I've never seen or heard Wicked, and I've never watched a Studio Ghibli film until this year. Granted, I did watch part of, what's the one with the black and white bitch and the Spirited Away. Yeah, I did watch part of Spirited Away when I was in elementary school, but it scared me so much that I never watched another Studio Ghibli movie. This year, my friend Claire was like, I'm going to make you watch my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, and you let me know what you think. And it was Whisper of the Heart. Listen. When we're talking about cinema, when we're talking about film, when we are talking about animation, okay, very few things have anything on Whisper of the Heart, alrighty? Very few things have anything on Miss Whisper, okay? So sweet. It's this girl in a city in Japan. I don't really know where she is in Japan. It doesn't look like Tokyo because doesn't seem as cosmopolitan as Tokyo is. But it's a young girl in a city in Japan, and she's checked out all these books from the library. She loves like fairy tales, and every book that she checks out has the same name in it. Seiji Amasawa, and her name is Shizuku Tsukishima. So she keeps finding Seiji Amasawa's name in all of the books that she's checking out, and she's like, how is it possible that this person is always beating me to my favorite books to check out? So she starts to be like, I need to figure out who this is. She's also like wants to be a writer, and she's always like daydreaming, never paying attention in class. And when she finally meets him, they start to kind of like each other, and his dedication to his own art craft encourages her to try and write her own novel over like a few months. It's such a cute, cozy but also like heartwarming film. And it also like kind of made me believe in love again. Like just I know like it's their first love, like who knows what's gonna happen in the future or whatever, but like just the way that their relationship between them develops and the way that they talk to each other, the way that they talk about each other, it's just such a sweet movie. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a really cute cat in it. There's a really cute old man in it who owns an antique shop. There's a story about a mysterious item in the antique shop. 10 out of 10 recommend if you love a cozy vibe and you love like just a cute little story. It's not as mystical or mythological as I think a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies are, but I think that's to its benefit as well because it can tell a very quotidian story in a very lush animation style. And the final category we will be discussing for my favorites are music. Now, music is kind of like the biggest category, so I'm going to try and move through swiftly and simply. The first album I want to talk about is The Great Impersonator by Halsey. To be 100% fair, I'm being influenced because one of my best friends is a Halsey stan. She absolutely loves Halsey. Halsey is her favorite singer of all time. I cannot say that I completely understood that stance before I met her and started getting to know her. I did not understand being a stan of Halsey. That being said, I liked the songs. I enjoyed some of the looks. I just didn't really understand the oeuvre. And then because I love this foundation so much, like this is excellent marketing. Because I love this foundation so much, I said, you know what? I could give the album a listen, back to front. And you want to know what Halsey gave me? An era, a concept executed, and a story told. And that is a theme in albums that I enjoy. I like music that gives me more than just pretty sounds and like well mixed beats. The music that feeds me is the music that tells a story. Ooh. And the concept of The Great Impersonator is this idea that Halsey has had this reputation throughout their career of being called like, oh, you're just trying to act like this person. You're just trying to like make music like this person. There's nothing that's authentic to you. And then they experienced like a health scare. I think she almost like died of leukemia. She had lupus and has POTS, like all of these insane health problems happening just one after the other. I'm not going to talk about how it's probably a result of it and prior. Okay, because we know this already, don't we? So I don't have to talk about it. She's experiencing all of these health scares and like truly 100% believing that they're going to die, and then starts like getting better and is working on this album. So like it's both a meditation on like the fragility of life, but also talking about the experience of being sick, the experience of feeling like feeling like what you've done in the past is a legacy that you're leaving, and what is that legacy if the way that people have interacted with it is mostly or most loudly pejorative. And then like a meditation on like taking control of the narrative of, oh, you're just a pale imitation of some other artist. Back to front, I really, really like the album. I think it's a great album. There's some standalone songs that I like listening to over and over again, and I like the way that it tells a story. To me, the chronology that it follows is kind of like late COVID, like late pandemic times, feeling just very isolated. They had a number one song right before the pandemic happened, and then she released an album, like a concept album, that didn't really chart well. So it's like the dichotomy of being like very popular by a lot of metrics, but also like the things that you put the most work and the most heart into, they're not the ones that like blow up commercially. So that's like where the album starts, and then she starts getting sick. She's in the relationship with this guy and she doesn't know like how, like he's not reacting well to how sick she is. She starts to feel smaller and smaller. She leaves the relationship and is like healing from that, and then is like coming to terms with her identity as someone who is kind of a sum of a lot of different parts and is greater for it and is able to find new love after coming to terms with that. So in terms of my favorite song, we start with Ego, which I think is the second song on the album. This should absolutely be a radio hit. This should absolutely be a TikTok hit. Everyone should be listening to this song. It's so good. The message of it is like very clear. The chorus is, I think I should try to kill my ego because my ego might kill me, or something like that. Next favorite song, Panic Attack. So each song, you might have seen this, like, I sound like a stan right now. You might have seen this on Halsey's Instagram. So like each song was made after a specific artist, or a specific song by a specific artist. So for Ego, I don't remember who the artist was, I'm not gonna lie to you. Then Panic Attack was made after Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks, and you can really hear it on Panic Attack. Like the music behind the singing is very much Fleetwood Mac inspired. I fucking love this song, and I will listen to it every day. Is it love or a panic attack? Is a heavy heart too much to hold? I don't know, but it's late, so I'm taking you home. The chorus, ooh. And then my last favorite is Letter to God 1974. So like throughout the album, there's these letters to God dispersed. And this one was just like so relatable to me. Felt it as a bitch with a water moon and a Scorpio rising, like just so relatable. And the singing on it I thought was really beautiful. Now, my next favorite album of the year, unfortunately, is Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. And I say unfortunately because I'm not going to lie to you, I think it is an evil piece of work. I do believe that there has to be something foul for somebody to be able to, with their whole chest, put out an entire album where they are insinuating that the affair that they embarked on, allegedly, with the man who is now their boyfriend is just like a twist of the media, and the media is like out to get them, and that like you guys don't really know the true story, but I'll play the part for you if that's what you want me to do. But also let me talk about this man who I'm in love with, who I absolutely stole. It's absolutely diabolical. It's diabolical work. That being said, the songs hit. So again, I love an album that tells a story, and she once again takes you on the chronology. We start with the end of the world. She's questioning her marriage, and then it's like the decision to end the marriage, entering into the new relationship, but also like the flurry that came with entering into the new relationship. So I think we go from like, now I'm not like a music theorist or anything. I just really I like what I like, and I like to talk about the things that I like, and I like to like build theories about the things that I like, into like accepting that the relationship is ending and then starting a new relationship with Supernatural. I don't really like that song. I don't really like any of the songs that are about the man that she is in her current relationship with. I don't really like any of the Ethan Slater songs. And then immediately the fraught status of the relationship in the public eye. So you go into True Story, and then The Boy Is Mine, and then Yes and then it's again like still, because even as the album or as the relationship is developing, she's still like grieving this divorce that she's going through. So then you go back to grieving the divorce, and then by the end you're like moved on and thinking more about the new relationship that you're embarking on. So I understand the concept, or at least what she says the concept is, which is that there's some parts of it, it's all like a composite, and there's some parts of it where she's inhabiting a character that was foisted upon her by the media. So those songs, I think in particular, are True Story, The Boy Is Mine, and Yes and I would have to hope that she's inhabiting a character for those songs, because like I said, there's truly something evil about it. A woman is grieving her husband being stolen from her, allegedly, by a celebrity, and you put out a song like The Boy Is Mine. Something About You was made for somebody like me. Baby, come over. And God knows I'm trying, but there's just no use in denying. The boy is mine. Like, there's something diabolical about that. And then Yes and, like the big line that was like very talked about when the album came out was her saying, "Why do you care whose dick I ride?" And people rightfully said, because he's married and he just had a baby? Like, what do you do? It's not like it's like a random guy that you just started dating. Like, there's context here. You take it out of the context, sure, yeah, it's kind of weird that everybody's talking about who you're having sex with, but like, you put it in context and yeah, there's something wrong there. And the last two songs on the album, I fucking hate Imperfect for You. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is one of my favorite albums of the year, but I fucking hate Imperfect for You. I will skip it every time it comes on. There's something about it that, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Kingsman. Part of Kingsman where, like, their brains are activated by a specific chip. There's, like, a frequency that makes the chip go off and then they just start fighting people, right? That's how I feel about Imperfect. I hate Imperfect for You and I hate it bad. And Ordinary Things is just like a nothing song to me. I love when Nona is on her music, but it just like doesn't. I love this album because I love Ariana, but there's a way that like the songs about Ethan are just so incredibly generic. I feel like the storytelling would hang together if you just took those off, but I understand why she kept them on. But yeah, I just like, I could do without them, and I could live my life without ever hearing them ever again. My next music favorite is Cowboy Carter. I had a pop year. Like my number one genre of music for the year was pop. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. And I quite enjoyed Cowboy Carter. She's bringing country back. Now, I have always been a fan of country music, but I don't really like modern country music. I know I'm so different. I'm not like other girls, but I love Patsy Cline. I really like Johnny Cash. Ooh, I love me some fucking Reba McEntire. I actually think that Taylor Swift's country era is her most successful era, because I think she, like, musically most successful era, because I think she excels with that singing style, and I find her pop singing does not give me the same vibe that I would like, you know? So I enjoy country music in a lot of ways. I'm just not a big fan of, like, I drive a pickup truck, I drink out of a red Solo cup, I love a blonde girl in cut-off shorts type of country music. Like, that's just not my zhuzh. So when I saw that Beyonce was coming out with a country album, I got very excited. I understand there's like a lot of discourse around it, as there should be, because it's Beyonce, and yes, it is propaganda, and it's okay to say that. And it's also okay that we acknowledge the ways that Black American people have participated in and continue to participate in U.S. imperialism, whether it is as a mode of survival, as a mode of finding identity, or even just because they want to. Like, it's a complicated discussion that I do not want to have in this video, but I think there is a merit to acknowledging that, yes, the imagery and a lot of the message of the songs is Beyonce loves America. She just loves America. Like, that's okay, because that's where her family is from. And the things that America have done are horrific in the world, yes, and even in the country as well, to her ancestors. But that's the complicated relationship that you have when you are raised in a subject position that is inherently contingent, that can change at any point. It's a very similar thing that I see with my mom in Portugal. Like, my mom will root for Portugal in every world competition. They also colonized her country, and she didn't get independence until she was 15 years old. It's a complicated relationship, and it's okay for us to acknowledge that and explore that, and we don't have to pretend like it's radical just because she's Black. Like, Black people can do things that are very reductive and also reactionary, and they often do. We could talk about Liberia, but we won't. We won't in this video. That being said, the music is good. I like it. I shook my ass to it. The only song I don't like on the album is the Jolene cover, and I'm very disappointed about it. I think it's horrible, which feels extreme. I guess I have extreme feelings about music in 2024, but I think it's horrible. I don't like the lyrical changes. I don't like the singing style. I really, really don't like it. I don't like it. Saying any of the things that she says on that song about a man who like famously cheated on his wife and almost broke up his family, I find to be almost farcical, but that's the way that Virgos are delusional. And Beyonce is no exception. I did really like the Tortured Poets Department. I think that might be like an honorable mention, along with SOS Lana by SZA. I have a lot of problems with SZA's music because if I listen to, not her, all of her music, Control, I can listen to. Her mixtapes, S and Z, I listen to all the time. SOS and SOS Lana, if I listen to those songs too much, I will not want to do anything. It will make me want to cease living. And that's not the vibe that I enjoy, even though I really like the music. So that's why SOS Lana is like honorable mention, because there's just something very low vibrational about those songs, about the entire SOS era. But it's okay. And I'm not mad about it because the music still fucking hits. And it's so emblematic of what it is to be a person experiencing loss in a relationship. Absolute favorite, born out from my Apple Music Rewind, I think that's what it's called. And also just like my listening habits. My absolute favorite music of the year was BTS. I got into that this year. I'd never listened to BTS before in my life. I love them. Unfortunately, I do. I love people who are talented. I enjoy music and art from people who are talented as well as good looking. You can be talented without being good looking, and I'll eat it up because I love talent. But if you're talented and good looking, as the boys of BTS are, it's the perfect formula. Singing, dancing, rapping, music with a message, okay? Ambassadors, cultural, as well as sexy. It's giving me everything that I need at this current juncture in my life. I resisted getting into it, but once I was in, I was in. And now here I am in the army. And I've never been happier. I love BTS. My favorite BTS song right now, and it might change in the future, My Time by BTS. I love My Time. And I love Home. And also Black Swan. I enjoy when they do like R&B inflected music. I think it's very good. I understand that they're like very problematic history, the like black cosplay, and then them like moving away from blackness and then immediately blowing up. Like I get all of that and I understand all of that. But once again, like, I'm just a woman and I have to live my life and not just like be uncomfortable all the time. And then through my newly acquired love of BTS, I also found my favorite album of the entire year, which is Right Person, Wrong Place by RM. And RM is the leader of BTS, formerly went as Rap Monster. And once again, returning back to some of the more problematic aspects of their history, this album is an absolute masterpiece. I wish it had been nominated for a Grammy. I know that Grammys don't often like recognize international artists, but like musically, it's amazing. Lyrically, it's amazing. It's not quite telling a story because, you know, Virgos. He's a Virgo. They like to obfuscate. But it is like, it does seem to be about the end of a relationship that RM was in for a lot of the years that he was in BTS. And it's about like the concept of right and wrong and the idea that those are two like oppositional things when what's right can shift, what's wrong can shift, they can change. They're not fixed positions, right? Of course, he's a fucking mutable sign making an album like this. But anyway, it's so good. Primarily like a rap album. There's influences of jazz on it. He's singing on some of the songs. There's some R&B on some of the songs. My favorite song, I don't remember what it's called, but I know that Moses Sumney is on it. And it lifts at the end, you know, like it starts in this very dogged place. By the end of the album, you almost kind of feel like you've like walked through a dark tunnel and you're coming out into the light. It's beautiful. I didn't expect to talk that much. I like a lot of things and I'm a yapper. So of course I talked that much. But thank you so much for watching this video if you made it to this part. I really appreciate you coming to my page and supporting my channel. 2024 was one of the most amazing years for my channel. I'm pretty sure in the year 2024 I hit both 5,000 and 7,000 subscribers. I put up my video that got the most views, that has gotten the most views on my channel, which was my Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef video where I break down the beef in minute detail and I missed some things and I hit some things and I had fun conversations with you guys in the comments. If you're a person that comes back to these videos week after week, I cannot tell you, well, not week after week because I post kind of sporadically, blah, 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 blah. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your presence here. If you comment on my videos, I cannot tell you how much I love you. I just feel really grateful to have this like little corner of the internet where I get to share things that I'm thinking about and people can respond to them in whatever way they feel like responding to them. Getting a little deeper, I've always kind of struggled with feeling like people don't care about the things that I have to say. I love talking and I love thinking and I love analyzing. And I also am like interested in things that I feel like are kind of niche or just like not widely appealing to a lot of the people in my life. And I love them. I really do. But I've always had this sense of like, I see people like losing interest as I'm speaking and like drifting off and getting lost and having to ask me to repeat things. And I feel really blessed and grateful to have a space where I can speak my mind like this. Like, it's one of the most fulfilling things that I'm able to do with my time, because not only can I speak my mind, but I can also like share my knowledge and my perspective and be able to interact with people who have similar knowledge, similar perspectives, care about similar things to me. And I don't get that sense anymore that like the words that I'm saying don't matter. So thank you so much for being here, because you've made me feel like I matter and like the words that I'm saying mean something. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. So yeah. I also just want to say, like, the things that I've done in my life this year, I would not have been able to accomplish them without this YouTube channel. I wouldn't have been able to move across an ocean to go to graduate school in Scotland. I wouldn't have been able to hit 5,000 subscribers. I wouldn't have been able to hit 7,000 subscribers. I wouldn't have had an outlet for my emotions when I was dealing with some tough family stuff. In the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have had a way to distract myself over the summer. Like, I just really needed this space, and I thank everyone who subscribed to my Patreon, whether you're still subscribed or you're not anymore. I thank everyone who shared my GoFundMe, because that really is what enabled me to like get on the plane to get here. And I thank everyone who just clicked on the video and watched it and let the ads play in the background or even hit skip. Like, if you're here, you're family, as they say at Olive Garden. And I love you guys so deeply in my soul. I hope you feel it. I wish I could reach through the screen and shake you so you can feel it. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Thank you again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!